Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Afghan Eye Podcast. I'm your host, Sangar Paykhar. In this episode, our guest is Pakistani investigative journalist Waqas Ahmed, and we will be discussing recent political upheavals and developments in Pakistan that are closely related to the ongoing tensions between Afghanistan and Pakistan. A recent constitutional amendment has been introduced in the Pakistani Senate that proposes sweeping sets of changes to the 1973 constitution. To explore this matter, our guest is Pakistani investigative journalist Waqas Ahmed. He has written for outlets such as The Intercept, Express Tribune, Daily Pakistan. He is currently writing for Dropsite News, and he's known for various other national and international publications. Waqas Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum, welcome, and it's great to have you with us.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me, Sangal.
I've been reading your work on Dropsite News, especially as you know the situation between Afghanistan and Pakistan is very tense at the moment, and I would like to learn from your insights, especially relating to these changes in the Pakistani constitution, because obviously that's not my expertise, and I'm really curious to understand because there seems to be a lot of controversy. So this new 27th Amendment of the Pakistani constitution is controversial. Why?
Oh, because the people who are amending the Pakistani constitution were not elected by anyone. So, like, to step back a little, I'll give you some context for people who don't know what's happening in Pakistani politics internally. In 2022, February 2022, you go back 3 years almost now. The Prime Minister of Pakistan was Imran Khan. He was the democratically elected prime minister. The Pakistani military at that time, on instructions from Washington, because Imran Khan wanted Pakistan to be completely independent. He was pro-Afghanistan. He basically wanted to have closer ties with Muslim countries, and he wanted to step back from Washington. He wanted closer ties to China. So in February 2022, Imran Khan went to visit Russia during the day the Ukraine invasion happened. Imran Khan did not know Ukraine invasion is going to happen that day, but he still went. Americans asked him not to go, but he went. After that, Americans decided that this guy is too independent and he needs to be removed. So Americans sent a message through a Pakistani diplomat to Pakistani military that if you remove Imran Khan, we will forgive everything. All will be forgiven. And this is a part of record. This was reported by Intercept. They released this whole cipher, the telegram in full. And that said that if you remove Imran Khan, all will be forgiven. And now what all will be forgiven, there are many things behind what will be forgiven. One of the things that would be forgiven was there are elements within Pakistani military that supported the Taliban during the war on terror. That will be forgiven. But you don't have to repeat this again, but it will be forgiven. Any other activity that you have done against India with militants or supporting proxies, because this whole region, if you really be honest, all of these countries like India and Pakistan, everyone has been trying to support proxies within each, because they don't want direct confrontation, big war, so they support proxies in each other's countries. So all of that will be forgiven, and in any future things that you do will be forgiven. So the Pakistani military removed Imran Khan. Like, to cut the context short now, the Pakistani military removed Imran Khan, but there are so many things within Pakistani society that resisted. Now, since 2022 to this day, including this amendment, everything, all the changes that are being made in Pakistan are being made to remove the Pakistani democracy, to make sure that no Pakistani people can rise up against this dictatorship that is taking shape in Pakistan. Asim Munir, who is the army chief in Pakistan, he wants to be dictator for life. And now, finally, in the 27th Amendment that they're going to pass, like right now, in 1 or 2 days, maybe today or maybe tomorrow, they're going to pass this. It says that the army chief, who has now become the field marshal rank will stay forever. It is a rank for life. And if you do any crime, you cannot be persecuted. You have immunity for life. So even kings do not have immunity for life. Even kings don't claim that they will stay for life. Even some kings in history, brutal kings in history have decided that they will retire someday, that they have a son who will be king someday. No king even decides that they will be king till the day I die. No, and I was pointing out this really interesting thing in the Pakistani constitution, that it says he will be the field marshal as long as he lives. So that means the Pakistani constitution has outlined the way to remove this guy, which is death. So if this is the constitutional way to remove a person from a post, then maybe it will be applied someday in the future. But see, the point is, all of this is being done so that Asim Munir can be the supreme leader and he can do everything unquestioned, so that there's no one in any institution in Pakistan and no one in any like politics who can question him. For example, there's another very interesting thing that's happening in this constitutional amendment. There were always four people holding the same rank in Pakistani military, the topmost rank. There were at least four people all the time. The head of the army chief, his rank is the general. The head of the navy, the navy chief, he is the admiral, equivalent rank to the general, and the air chief, air marshal, equivalent rank to a general. So they're all equal. And then there's a fourth one, the joint chief of staff committee. He is also an army. He can be from all three forces, but he's also a general. Same rank. All of these are peers. So when they sit in a meeting, nobody outranks anyone. Nobody can impose their policies. And they do sit in multiple meetings, like they sit in National Security Council meeting. If there's any war happening, they sit in those meetings and they can all give their input, and that they can all override each other. They can all say to the prime minister that this person, his strategy is wrong and this should be followed. This happened when Imran Khan was the prime minister and there was a war going on in India. The Pakistani army chief said that Pakistan should not strike back with fighter planes. But the air chief said that Pakistan should. So the prime minister eventually made the decision that Pakistan should go for this operation, and they eventually did, which happened a long time ago now. But army chief wanted these guys gone. He wanted one level up, so that there is no one to question him. So this 27th Amendment removes the National Security Committee. This 27th Amendment removes all of these guardrails against one-person dictatorship. So this is what's happening. And like all of this is being done so that he can do everything as he wishes.
What really puzzles me about this matter is that we see the Pakistani military as a large and very powerful institution that has historically had a lot of power and could basically, whenever they want, remove the civil government. There is this popular saying, no civil government has ever finished their term in Pakistan. And usually it's a coup or it's some other form of mechanism used by the military to basically sideline the civil government. So now that Asim Munir has decided, or basically it is apparent that this amendment mainly benefits him because it increases his power. The question arises, why now? Why is happening this right now at this juncture in Pakistani history, and what is the relation of this development to previous governments and army chiefs in the last few decades?
Sorry. Yeah, Pakistani society is like not, I wouldn't say there is a lot of inequality, but there is some kind of informality. Like, yeah, that's the better word. It is very informal in its dealings. All of the previous dictatorship, there's been something really interesting. Like Ziaul Haq was a dictator, but during Ziaul Haq era, there used to be only one TV channel that was the PTV. So that in the 80s there used to be only one TV channel, and Ziaul Haq was the military dictator at the time. On PTV there would be comedy shows that would make fun of him or his government. It was allowed. Like even through the worst of dictatorship, there was some level of informality, some level of understanding that you cannot suppress your own society beyond a certain degree. And now this informality was a hurdle in a lot of things. So if you, for example, if you want to recognize Israel, you would never be able to do that. Like nobody who wants to live among his people would dare to do such a thing. So to solve that problem, this informality has to be removed. Asim Munir has a word for it. He calls it a hard state. This is how he pronounces it. He says Pakistan should be a hard state. There are his speeches in which he says we want to create a hard state. In his eyes, he thinks that Pakistan used to be a soft state, and Pakistan is a soft. It's not a soft state. It's a badly governed state in which, in the absence of governance, people's personal relationships are like the safety net that people have, and personal relationships go like far. If the police is harassing, like suppose if the police is harassing my family, and I don't want the police to harass my family, I will call someone I know. I will call like someone who is more influential, a local politician, and I will say, "See, this is happening to my family. Can you please solve this?" And the local politician will use his personal connection to talk to the police to make sure that harassment stops. If I am connected in any way, all of this. But this informal way would protect me from government overreach. Now, Asim Munir is removing all of these safety nets. He says he wants Pakistan to be hard state. So that means when the police is harassing someone, and the police harasses a lot of people in Pakistan, nobody can help you. So the police in the past 2, 3 years has kidnapped people. So because they are so afraid of top-down cruelty, basically the one word that describes what's happening in Pakistan is cruelty, because they are so cruel that they want to become so cruel so they can do all of these things. I'll give you another example. The way Afghan immigrants were treated, it is cruelty. So Pakistanis have mistreated Afghan refugees for maybe 20 years. There are some Pakistanis who have well treated Afghan refugees for like 20, 30 years since the whole Afghan war happened, since the refugee crisis started. There have been mixed reaction. A person is a bad person, they will mistreat them. A person is a good person, they will well treat them. But a lot of these refugees found a home in Pakistan. They obtained legal documents in Pakistan. They obtained businesses. They obtained property. They prospered. A lot of them prospered in Pakistan. A lot of them did not prosper. But I'm talking about like the small segment that did. They found good lives. They found education. They found okay lives, at least minimal level lives. This happened because of that informal system. That they could call someone who is that close relative, who is a Pakistani, who's like maybe Pakistani Pashtun, who would call the police, who would call the politician to remove the hurdles in like property, getting property, and all of these things. So this informal like way of Pakistani doing things, that it helped. Now, when Asim Munir wanted all of these people gone, and so like if I am an Afghan living in Pakistan, I have a house worth 1 crore rupees, and the police is trying to push me out. I call the local policeman. I say, I'll give you 2 lakh rupees. I'll give you 200,000. Do not push me out, because this is how it happened in the past. You call someone and you say, I'll give you this amount of money. Do not do this. Do not impose this cruelty that is coming from the top. And they would say, okay, but you have to keep it low. And then you have some sort of dealing. And then after the heat is off, you come back and everything goes fine. But this is not happening this time. This cannot happen this time, because the cruelty is coming from the top and everybody is being asked to be cruel. And this is going through all segments of Pakistani society. So when Pakistanis say awful things like Afghans are namak haram, or like all of these things that they say, it is coming from a place of inhumanity and cruelty that is seeping into every segment of Pakistani society, that is coming from top.
I'm going to play the role of devil's advocate, and I will say maybe Pakistan wants to have a system where there is the rule of law, and the government, the institutions, whether it's security or civil government, when they make any decision and when they want to implement a particular policy, they do not want to be sidelined, or they do not want to be undermined by these informal structures of the society. And that the definition of a soft and a hard state is a state where government functions and rule of law prevails, and one that is soft is one where basically everyone can do anything. How would you respond to that?
That's an excellent point, and this is something that I thought too. Like initially, when you're making an assessment, when you see like this is happening, is this person actually going for the rule of law? And the benchmark to figure this out, to gauge this, is if this is consistent. Consistency tells you if it is real or not. These people are not consistent, because all of the politicians in Pakistan, they have really serious cases against them. They have billions of dollars worth of corruption cases against them. Even the military chief, he has like corruption allegations against them. So all of this, you can clearly see it is not for rule of law, because rule of law is not being applied. For example, I'll give you another example of how the hard state has behaved, if it is really hard state or functional state or soft state. So a few months ago, there was a protest in Islamabad. There was a big protest for Palestine in Islamabad. There was a drunk driver who is the son of a high-ranking military officer, a general or a brigadier. We don't know if he was drunk or if he just hated Palestine, because the Pakistani military people, a lot of them hate Palestine. They want to normalize relationship with Israel. So we don't know what really happened. But he took his car, went into this protest, and killed a bunch of people. So his car, he blowed through the protest and killed a bunch of people. You think he would go to jail, right? Because this is a hard state. This is not a soft state. This guy should go to jail, but he did not. He is free. There's not even a case against him. He's gone. Nobody knows where he is. This is not, what they're trying to, like, hard state should not be a word that someone has to use. He should have said that we want to create a functional state. If the state lacks governance, if the state is not functioning as it's supposed to, that is how it is supposed to function. You should implement the rule of law. But the state should always be kind. The state should always consider that people that I have not provided food, I have not provided water, that are dying under inflation, their families should not be kidnapped for expressing their political opinion. That is not a functional state. It is a cruel state.
It's very interesting that you mention the treatment of the people who are poor and underprivileged. What I hear is that most Afghans who are facing deportation in Pakistan are usually the ones who are very poor, and have no ties to powerful groups in Pakistan. So, for example, groups in Afghanistan who have established themselves in Pakistan for decades, they had very close relations with the ISI, with the Pakistani military, with certain political parties, because during the Soviet-Afghan War and subsequently the other very problematic eras in Afghan history, these people, they were based in either Islamabad or in Peshawar, and they have large mansions, businesses. They are running joint ventures with very powerful figures in Pakistan. They are not facing any kind of challenges right now, but it's usually the poor, the very weak refugee communities, basically the non-bakers. They're going after the non-bakers, the bread bakers, but the ones who really have power and money and influence, they just allow them to do whatever they want. And it's very telling that when they use the term hard state, that they basically intend to mean something that is not very, how do you say, favorable for the subjects of the state, because as a student of governance, I personally do have problems with the way Afghanistan is governed, how Pakistan is governed, because, studying public administrations here in Europe and observing Nordic countries, the rule of law, governance, bureaucracy here. And then you see these countries, they have evolved and they have actually created very well-functioning states. And sadly, in our part of the world, when we want to emulate the West, we always take the most negative aspects. But things that they are doing actually what the Western countries are very good at, we don't tend to copy that or emulate that. And what I notice is that in the rhetoric, especially the people who defend these new developments in Pakistan, in the rhetoric, they want to present this as, we're trying to improve our society, we're trying to improve our country, and this is only for the betterment of the welfare of the people of Pakistan. But sadly, as you explained, it's more authoritarian. And what I'm most concerned about is that we have a very popular politician in Pakistan who won elections, and he's behind bars. And people will always say, oh, because he is an ethnic Pashtun, you guys support him, but he's this and that. I would say, regardless of Imran Khan's background or whatever, facts are that he was very popular and very he enjoyed widespread support all over Pakistan, and in his stead is now a government that has not really won any elections, and this government is not very popular in Pakistan, yet decisions are being made that affect not just Pakistanis but also Afghanistan. So if the Pakistani military has these new sweeping powers and Imran Asim Munir becomes sort of like an king that cannot even be prosecuted, because in recent history we know, like when Parvez Musharraf more or less became the dictator, after his era, then people try to actually prosecute and punish him. So it appears to me that Asim Munir is trying to prevent any future prosecution, and he wants to obtain all these new sweeping powers so that he can make some fundamental changes in Pakistan. You earlier alluded to normalization with Israel and other matters. What I would like to know is, what is the big game here? What is the agenda? In which direction does Asim Munir want to move with regards to neighboring countries, whether it's Afghanistan, India and China, or more broadly? what is the implication of these changes and what could be possibly on the agenda?
Pakistan has been historically close to America. And this is a relationship that was suffering in the last few years of the Afghan war. When the Qatar talks started happening, there was some Pakistani facilitation in those talks, like in Doha, but there was like minimum involvement. But that's the only positive thing Pakistan did at the end of that war, and Americans were pretty pissed at like Pakistani behavior. Like I said earlier, all will be forgiven. One of the things that had to be forgiven was Pakistan's behavior in Afghanistan as America was leaving. Uh, so Pakistan wants to be close to America once again. And there are few hurdles in Pakistan wanting to be close. One is China. So you have to balance this relationship between China and America. And to balance this relationship between, you have to give something to both parties. One thing that Americans seriously want, and we know that they wanted this for a long time since they left Afghanistan. One was they wanted some military bases in Pakistan or somewhere that could allow them to reach Afghanistan. Second thing they wanted, now Trump tells us that they did not want to leave Bagram, they wanted Bagram back also. They want to be enough, they want some kind of military presence in the region so that they could keep an eye on China. So they want all of these things. Uh, and hold on. So, because of this, Pakistan is trying to get closer to America, trying to like see what they can give them, see what they can provide to them. This is the direction that Pakistan is taking. One of the things, and this is like initial part of it, they recognize that keeping the war on in Afghanistan gets us close to America. This is a joint project that we both have. So Americans don't really talk to Pakistanis, on an equal terms. They don't have a lot of fun or like games with Pakistan. But this fun game that we were playing with America in Afghanistan for 20 years, this seemed really nice and attractive to Pakistani in general. It makes them feel involved. It makes them feel recognized, doing something alongside, this amazing superpower of America, and then you get money out of it. Basically, Pakistan has been trying to start a new project with America, and one of the projects that they've been trying a lot of things. They've been pitching a lot of things, see what sticks to the wall, throw everything. They've tried to throw the mineral project. They want to throw the Afghan project, and like I should press upon this a bit more. The whole thing with Afghanistan, sending refugees out, there was no need. Starting this war, there was no need. All of this is being done intentionally. And this has been my thesis since the very beginning, since 2022, when this whole thing happened. Uh, I had indications that they're trying to start this intentionally against Afghanistan so that they can talk to America about it, so that they have a reason to offer something to America, so that like they could call America back, and they've been trying to like stir stuff up. One of the things they did was very beginning, like this is 2023, started bombing villages in Afghanistan, saying that like these are TTP fighters. We don't know if they're TTP fighters or not. Israel also does that. Then they started pushing refugees out. Taliban government had just come in. They have really poor governance. They're not even in control in Kabul properly. There's so many things that the previous government, when they were leaving, they sabotaged, they destroyed paperwork, destroyed a lot of things, all of it gone. You have to start from scratch. And Pakistanis knew they were doing what they were doing at the time. They could have waited. For example, let's play the devil's advocate. There are so many refugees in Pakistan. Pakistan does not have enough money. Pakistan cannot handle their own population, and these people are here maybe illegally. We want to push them out. You have kept these people for 20, 30 years. You couldn't wait 1, 2 years. That's not a big problem. You can help the Taliban government get back on their feet, talk to them on how to repatriate those people. You could discuss this. This is a bilateral discussion that needed to happen. You could have sent them back with dignity, Where is the dignity? Why didn't it not happen? It is by design. This is not some coincidence that happened because these people are incompetent. They did this by design. They thought that while the Kabul government is just taking shape, if we send all of these people, they will be overwhelmed and they will not know what to do with these people. And this did happen. All of these people who went back, they are in crisis. They had to find homes and they had to find places to stay. They had to find food, and like they will find food. God sends food and shelter and everything. People find a way. But this humiliation, this cruelty they did was by design, and it is a clue about what their intentions are.
When Afghanistan was experiencing all those political upheavals in the 70s, like in the late 70s during the communist revolution, when hundreds of thousands of people were forced to basically leave Afghanistan and flee to Pakistan and Iran. Back then, the Western world and the Arab world, they were willing to actually invest money in hosting refugees in Afghanistan. And it was also a lucrative business for the state in Pakistan, because they could say, look, we are hosting all these millions of refugees, you need to support us. Likewise, the war in Afghanistan also financially benefited the military establishment in Pakistan against the Soviet Union. And then later, during the war on terror, obviously they were partners in the war on terror. But after 2021, I think that what has fundamentally changed is that Western countries in general are not interested in giving any more money for aid, for hosting Afghan refugees, because simply put, hosting Afghan refugees or investing anything into Afghanistan related everyone is sick and tired of it. So I also think that may have had its impact on Pakistan, because obviously Pakistan is not receiving any money to host Afghan refugees. And likewise, the military is not benefiting from the peace and stability in Afghanistan, whether it's good or bad. Nobody is interested in paying them anything. But what I also think is interesting is, maybe you can expand on that, is that I've been hearing that in the last couple of years, many major international corporations have started leaving Pakistan. Many major investors from the region have announced that they will leave Pakistan, and that these exodus of investors in Pakistan is harming Pakistan economy. And this may also, at least that's my hypothesis, that this may also be a reason why the Pakistani military thinks, okay, we're losing investors, we're losing economic opportunities, and the only way that we could actually attract capital back into Pakistani economy is to start a war in Afghanistan, because I don't think that the Pakistani military has the money or the resources to wage a protracted war with Afghanistan on its own. They need a external financier to do that, right? How would you respond to that?
So it's also irrational. You see, like going back to your earlier example, taking Afghan refugees, the amount of money you would get from Europeans or like America or like UN or all of these donors, international donors, the amount of money that Pakistani government would get, or Pakistani politicians or military would get, first of all, was not never really transferred to the refugees. Second of all, even if it was never going to be enough for what it claimed it would do. It would never be. These kinds of donations are never actually enough. So what ends up happening is they fill a few people who are in charge of this refugee stuff, and like top politicians, top generals. They take their money, and the rest of the society is left to pick up the pieces. Overall, on net, if you take the net benefit or loss of this whole situation, like hosting a few million refugees has a huge toll on the society itself. Like you have to think about all of the costs that are associated with it, how to like upkeep it and all the maintenance and stuff. That does have, Pakistani government doesn't care. Pakistani government didn't care for its own people. They didn't care for refugees. So like Pakistan did not benefit from any of this, but some generals did and some politicians did. And it is the same with this thing. For example, if a war with Afghanistan starts right now, just like let's not talk about future, let's talk about the past. So from 2001 to 2020, 21, there was a war in Afghanistan and American money came in, right? And America kept giving money through US aid and they kept giving loans. All of this was is estimated to be, if you calculate all of the money that America gave, it would be around 10 to 15 billion dollars. But during the same war, foreign investment stopped coming because an American CEO could not come to Pakistan, could not meet Pakistani people because he was afraid he would be blown up in a terrorist attack, he would be killed, he would be bombed. So they stopped visiting Pakistan to make business deal. At the same time, they were going to India, and India saw its export boom the exact same time when the war on terror was happening in Pakistan. But from the Pakistani general's perspective, if you are a Pakistani general, you are getting invited to CENTCOM meetings, you are going to these nice, right, amazing helicopter rides, you're going on the aircraft carriers, you're talking to these people who are giving you a lot of attention and respect that you've never received in your life. Plus, you get a few $1 billion. You think that this is amazing, that this is a great deal we have going on. You do not realize the opportunity cost, all of the other things that are happening. And they did this. They are doing this with this whole situation too. So when the military dictatorship, they toppled Imran Khan. After that, there was a big economic crisis. The economic crisis in Pakistan was so huge that around there was some estimate around 10% of Pakistani population who was middle class went below poverty line. The whole world is pushing people above poverty line. I'll send you these statistics later if you want to share them. This was an unprecedented pushback of Pakistani middle class below poverty, sending them below poverty line. From the Pakistani general's perspective, from the Pakistani politicians' perspective, they were thinking, and they still maybe think this, they were thinking that Pakistani middle class is a political ticking time bomb. Because all of Imran Khan's supporters are basically middle class. It is not coming from like the lower classes because but in Pakistan, things are so bad that you cannot be a politician when your stomach is completely empty. Once you've had one dinner, then you start thinking about your condition. So these people were the Pakistani middle class, and the Pakistani elite recognized that there's a huge support that Imran Khan is getting is from the Pakistani middle class, and we have to do something. We have to either depoliticize them or send a few over back to the poverty line so that they remain dependent on us. And the consequences, as the middle class shrinks, these businesses that are leaving are the same businesses that benefited from the purchasing power that you get by becoming middle class. So middle class shrinks, their revenues shrink, they don't find Pakistan profitable anymore, and then they leave. And like there's some of them, like some are selling that to local businesses. There's some aspect of it. There's like, for example, in PNG's case, it was made worse by the Palestine because the Pakistanis are also boycotting a lot of goods over there. So that got made worse. And then after COVID, a lot of people's buying power shrunk and inflation really went up. So a lot of these factors gather together to create this economic situation Pakistan is in right now. But the Pakistani military is completely like ill-equipped to deal with these problems.
What really think that would really puzzles me, like the Pakistani military, the people who are officers in the military, especially in the higher echelons, they're Pakistanis. They are from Pakistan. It's their country. What makes these people take decisions that are so detrimental for their own country, for their own people. How would you explain that?
I think they have convinced themselves that they're right. It goes even more basic than this. It is the basic philosophy of life, the worldview that you have, like how you think. And a lot of people say this, and a part of it is absolutely true. Pakistani military was not Pakistani military always. It was the Royal British military at one point. They answered to the Queen of England, and they created that, a King of England at one point. And all of the institutional memory, the institutional history, like if you go to a Pakistani military installation, or like suppose you go to a nice mess, sometimes you see photos on the wall. And a lot of these photos are like an officer, a Pakistani military officer would be standing, or like a South Asian, more accurately, a South Asian officer would be standing with the badges and stuff. And they'd say that this was a Pakistani military officer from the 1930s. But 1930s, there was no Pakistan. This is a colonial institution. It carries with itself proudly the memories of colonialism. And the memories of colonialism are so strong. So, for example, if a Pakistani battalion or a unit sometimes is celebrating its founding day, its birthday, basically, like this battalion was founded on this day. It was raised on this, like raising day. This corps was raised on this day. A lot of times, these birthdays are celebrated from 1920s. This corps was raised on this day in 1920. They carry this institutional memory. There was never any questioning about the structure of it. So like if in 1947, when Pakistan was created, if everyone sat down and they would say, look, this is an institution that was made by colonialists to colonize. This is a specific instrument. Like if you take like one of the main instruments, like a surgeon has a scalpel to work with. Without a scalpel, a surgeon cannot work. They cannot use a butcher's knife. That scalpel is the military, the main instrument that the colonialism used. Military and the police, then civil service. Three of the top three, that the ones that happened. Military is the top one in Pakistan. So military inherited all of this. They never questioned. They never thought we would restructure so that we change the nature of what we are. The nature of what they are, is a colonial institution. When an officer goes to the PMA, they might not understand this in a very in a conscious way. They might not even know this, but in the subconscious, underneath the surface, everything they do to think that someone who is not in uniform is inferior to them, to think someone who's poor is inferior to them, to think someone who doesn't speak English is inferior to them. They go against basic teachings of Islam, humanity, but these are unquestioned learnings that we inherited from the British. So I think that would be like one of the major reasons that well-meaning people are unable to see the awful things that they're doing.
The colonial background and history of the Pakistani military and its current role in Pakistani society, I think this is a topic that there are many books written about it, articles. I was recently doing some literature review and trying to learn about certain matters, and I see that there is quite a lot written about it, but something that is not really well documented, and there's a lot of speculation surrounding it, is the actual body that governs the Pakistani nuclear installations, the nuclear armaments. There are speculations. People are saying that the Pakistani military has handed over the authority over its nuclear capabilities to the Americans. There was this former CIA field officer, John Kiriakou, who is now a very popular podcaster. He made these allegations very recently, and I saw a tweet of yours. You said, "I have confirmed this from multiple sources. Bajwa wanted to dismantle the nuclear program." Can you explain what's this all about?
Yeah, the John guy is a liar. He lies a lot. So I would not believe anything that John says, because he was lying about Iranian politicians, and it's a very I was able to verify that lie because it's a very famous story about Sukarno from Indonesia, and he got caught this way. Anyway, besides from what John is saying, I'll outline how Pakistani military's nuclear structure works. The SPD, or the Strategic Plans Division, is a division within the Pakistani military, and they oversee all these strategic deployments and basically nuclear stuff. They are not usually under the Pakistani army chief. And a lot of, like, all of these nuclear institutions, they're not under the army chief. They are separate from the army chief. And like I said earlier, they're under the Joint Chief of Staff Committee, who is equal rank to the Army Chief. And under the Chairman Joint Chief of Staff Committee, there are like other service chiefs like Air Chief, Naval Chief, and the Army Chief. They all sit together. These are four people who are peers in the same group. So if one of them turns out to be evil, the other three would notice that this one person is evil. If two people are evil, the other two would notice. This was a system that we built because we understood that people can be compromised, that people can be evil, that people can be wrong, or people, even well-intentioned people, could be wrong. This is how the system was designed. For many years, for 20, 30 years, Pakistani nuclear program has actually been around for 40, 45 years now, around almost 50 years. So for all this time, so many things have happened in Pakistan. Politicians have come and gone. Politicians have had fight with each other. Politicians have killed each other. Ziaul Haq killed Bhutto, and then Ziaul Haq himself got killed, and the military command underneath him swept that murder, the death of Ziaul Haq, under the rug, covered it up. So we know insiders were involved. People have killed. All of these things have happened, but nobody has touched this structure. Because of this, there are so many things wrong with Pakistan, but this single-minded obsession with which Pakistan created their nuclear bomb was something that Pakistanis could be proud of, that no matter how awful we are, we made something. That we built this, and now it is safe, and we have built a structure that ensures that even if a politician is evil, they want to use that as a bargaining chip. It cannot be, because of how this is structured. In this tweet that you're referring to, this event happened in October 2022. So a lot of people are making fun of me that your sources are like wrong, or you don't have any sources, or you're lying. I can't do that as a journalist. So in 2022, Bajwa was about to retire. He was 1 month away from retirement, and he did not want to retire. He told the Americans, now we don't know if he was, we don't know what's in a person's heart. We don't know if he was being completely honest or not. He told the Americans that I want to roll back the nuclear program. The nuclear program is of no benefit to us. I want to roll back it. We want to go from geopolitics to geoeconomics. We want to improve Pakistan. So if you give us like a great deal, like $50 billion, $100 billion, and all of the Gulf countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they all start investing in us, then we could roll back our nuclear program. But there's a problem, that the nuclear program is not under me. So this is Bajwa pitching to the Americans in 2022. Says the nuclear program is not under me. It is under another guy, and I cannot do something single-handedly. But if I'm given 4 or 5 more years, I will make these structural changes so that I can start rolling this back. And yes, he's saying that maybe he's just trying to fool America because he doesn't want to retire. But this doesn't work. So he retires anyway, and this new guy comes in. Now, in the 27th Amendment, what he's saying is that the nuclear program that is currently under Joint Chief of Staff Committee should come under him. And not only that, the Joint Chief of Staff Committee should be removed. And not only that, the National Security Committee, in which all the three service chiefs sit, should also be removed. So that means that he is the singular person responsible for Pakistan's nuclear weapons. And that means that all the other guardrails, if someone could notice that you are evil, that all of them are gone. And right now, I don't know what this guy's intention is, if he wants to sell the Pakistani nuclear weapon away or not. But the thing is that it is on the table now. So, like, this thing that was never for under on any table, that was never a piece on the chessboard, that was never discussion in like foreign policy talks, like, so, suppose you're talking with America, the prime minister of Pakistan would sit with the president of America, and the president of America would say, roll back your nuclear program, and he would be able to say, by design, this is why this was designed, he would be able to say that the nuclear program is not under me, there is a whole system going on, and I cannot do anything about it. And we cannot just single-handedly roll it back. It is a very difficult and complicated process, and we need it anyway. They could say that. But now, the next time this Donald Trump's favorite field marshal, he goes to meet Donald Trump, and Donald Trump says that we need you to do something about the nuclear program. Even if he says that, yes, we are going to, even if he doesn't say that, yes, we are going to roll back in the nuclear program, he will have to say, yes, this is under me, and I can negotiate with you on this. This is something on the table. What do you have to offer in exchange for this? So now it is on the table. And this is the main shift about the Pakistani nuclear program that has happened. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like, Bajwa made it in his intentions clear in front of Americans that I want to dismantle this. I want to actually be close to India. We have solved the Kashmir issue, because Bajwa did make a deal with India on Kashmir. So we've done all this. We don't need the nukes anymore, and we can dismantle this if I have the authority to do this. Now, this person is going to have the authority to do this. The structure of this is dangerous, because everything that protected us in the past does not protect us in the future.
Thank you for explaining that. I think that the nuclear problem. I think that the nuclear program in Pakistan is something that is worrying a lot of people around the world, because one of the biggest fears was always that this is the only Islamic country that has nuclear weapons, and if militants like TTP or other groups take over, they will use the nuclear weapons against other countries. So it needs to be contained. So these worries and concerns have always existed. But now, as we see this new amendment that is introduced in Pakistan, if Asim Munir succeeds in transforming the constitutional framework in Pakistan and become some sort of like a ultimate king or emperor of Pakistan that is beyond any kind of legal persecution or whatever, he can basically decide whether he wants to continue with the nuclear program or not, or maybe dismantle it. But how likely is it that this current state of affairs in Pakistan, where so much power is concentrated with the military leadership, will continue? What is your final prediction on what the future is going to look like for Pakistan? Because as a landlocked country and neighbor of Pakistan, we are very curious to learn what's going to happen in Pakistan. So how do you predict the near future?
I'll address one point that you talk about in the earlier part of the question about Pakistani nuclear weapons falling into wrong hands. This was always from the West. It was a false alarm, basically. Nuclear weapon is not something that can fall into a wrong hand. There is no nuclear button that you press. It's a very complicated thing. To fire a nuclear weapon, to prepare a nuclear weapon to be deployed, requires scientists and engineers, teams of scientists and engineers who have been working with specific device. Like, you take a Pakistani nuclear scientist and you give him an Indian weapon, they won't know A scientist and engineer won't know how to work the Indian nuclear weapon because that has been developed by them. This has been developed by them. So, like a weapon like that cannot fall into wrong hands. Like a helicopter falling into like Afghanistan is still really hard. You know how, an American helicopter left behind and left to Taliban, they have a hard time doing repairs. They have a hard time finding pilots who understands that equipment. So even a helicopter, which is a very simple machine compared to a nuclear bomb, falling that in wrong hands is useless. So this was always created as a way to scare the West or to scare Western citizens from Pakistan. And the biggest scare is that actual what is behind all of this is Pakistani nuclear weapons falling into hands of the Pakistani people. The Pakistani democracy, the person elected by Pakistan, Pakistani nuclear weapon falling into the hands of Imran Khan, who would protect them, and not just protect them, but make sure that if Israel or something like that does something, then we use it. That is the main problem. The biggest threat to the world is basically this threat to Israel, because anyone who becomes a serious threat to Israel has to be destroyed. This is the basic principle of global foreign policy everywhere with any country. If you become threat to Israel, you have to be destroyed, and you have to be like there should be political issues in your country. So that's about the nuclear weapon. It was never falling into wrong hands. But the wrong hands that it has now fallen into, coming back to your question, is Asim Munir's hand. And his hands cannot be persecuted anymore. So that means that if he makes a decision that is wrong, and tomorrow people of Pakistan say that you made an obviously wrong decision and you did it because of corruption, he can legally say that I was allowed to do all corruption I want. See, your law says you cannot prosecute me for anything, so you cannot do this. About the future of Pakistan, I really cannot predict. The only thing you can predict is history. You know about history, and we all have all seen history. History is full of kings who have claimed that they have immunity for life and they are going to do this for life. And none of those kings exist. Any king who has claimed this in the past, they have died really horrible deaths, and people have abused them in the future, in hindsight. The only kings that are loved by us, that are still remembered fondly by people, are the kings who were kind, who did right, and they stepped down when they were done. So those are the kings that we appreciate. This is not the era of kings anymore anyway, and people get impatient really fast. No matter how nice you are, even good, kind, good leaders, people get tired of it. So this person can try to be the king, and maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, people are going to get tired of it. And not just people, the next king who thinks that he can do a better job is still there. He's very sitting close to the king. He's watching and he's waiting for his time. This is going to happen. If history tells us anything, this is how things happen. I don't know what's going to happen in Pakistan, but I do have an idea about where Pakistan should be going, and that is Pakistan should have closer relationship with Afghanistan, because there is no other way for us to live. Pakistan should have better relationship with India. Pakistan should allow Afghanistan and India to have a closer relationship. Together, we can all prosper. We have enough in this little region. We have enough for everyone. We do not have to fight. We have enough water. We have enough plants coming through from the ground. We do not have to fight. We can resolve these issues. But these people who are so greedy for power as an end in itself. Last thing, Asim Munir has been trying to consolidate power from day one. The day he stepped on the government, he has been trying to get more and more power. So, Sangar, you, me, when we think about power, we are normal people, right? When we think about power, we take power as a means to an end. We will get power, we will do this. If I have this much money, I would give this amount to someone else. This is like money in this sense, is power. You want to distribute it. So, power as a means to an end. But Asim Munir, and this we know for sure, Asim Munir and a lot of these Pakistani top brass, they believe in power as an end in itself. So the power as an end in itself has no limit. They will keep on gaining power. They will bully Afghanistan. So in the short term, in 1-2 years, as long as the power as an end to itself lasts, there's a cycle. Because power you have to distribute, you have to do something with it. If you keep on gaining it, it just makes the greedy people around you turn against you. So this cycle is going on right now. Power as an end to itself. Asim Munir is not doing anything with this power. He's not utilizing it. He's just accumulating it. Eventually, it will explode.
Thank you very much for being my guest. I think it was a very insightful conversation. For our audience, if they want to learn more about your work, get in touch with you, what is the easiest way to reach you?
Twitter. I'm on Twitter. My name is WORQAS on Twitter. Waqas, WORQAS, and they can follow me.
Okay. I've been reading your work, and I think, in this conversation, there are still so many questions. I would like to have you as my guest again in the near future because there's so much to explore. I thoroughly enjoyed having you as my guest, so thank you very much. For our audience, if you would like to support our work, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Instagram, on X, and if you like to support our work, you can also visit our Patreon page or PayPal page. Thank you all for joining us for this episode. Until next episode, take care of yourself and each other. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much, Sangar, for having me. Assalamu alaikum.